Rabbi Tanz's passing was a very jarring experience for me. It was so difficult for me to imagine a world without Rabbi Tanza. Rabbi Tanza for me was as constant as a loving grandfather. He was the rabbi of my parents, he was the rabbi of my in-laws, and he was the only choice to officiate at our wedding. But he was so much more than just a rabbi for me. He was my friend, he was my mentor, he was my role model, he was my teacher. The memories of Rabbi Tanza are just endless, and so many of them actually happened here in this very building. I remember as a little kid, duchening just up there with my father, going up to Rabbi Tanza afterwards, looking up to him and shaking his hand. I remember being in high school at Yeshiva College. You know, in those days back in the 90s, we all as kids had the privilege of rolling the Rosh Yeshiva's tefillin. I remember rolling his tefillin after Shachrit. And, you know, who could forget Rabbi Tanza getting up on a Friday night, again, at this very podium, to a packed Yeshiva College shul, putting on his talit just before he's about to start speaking, and then start his speech with his signature jokes. I mean, it's just unbelievable to think that he's no longer with us. The real differentiator with Rabbi Tanza was his incredible love for community and as he would say, for Klal Yisrael. I mean, he must have spent endless hours on Erev Shabbat, on Fridays, and Erev Chagim, going through lists and lists and lists of people to call. You know, I actually mentioned this to Marsha during the Shiva week, and, different people that were sitting around piped up, we all got calls on Erev Shabbat, we got calls on Erev Chag. And he made us all feel, every single one of us feel like we were the only person being called. He made every one of us feel so special to him. The Shloshim last week actually fell on Parashat Lech Lecha. And this is very fitting. Just as Avraham Avinu got the call from Hashem, to leave his place of comfort, to go off into the unknown, so too did our Avraham Chaim get this call. But I think the analogy is probably a little bit more fitting later on in the Parsha, where Avraham Avinu goes down to Mizrachi, to Egypt, because, when the Tanzas came to Johannesburg in the early 60s, it was like arriving at a midbar, it was like arriving at a desert of Torah. There was nothing here, or very little here at that time. But the end result, as we all know it, and as it says, later in the Parsha, is Kum ve'talech ba'aretz. Get up, build the land, walk in the land, and I think this is very apt to what the Tanzas achieved here in Johannesburg. The uniqueness of the Tanzas is intertwined with the uniqueness of the Yeshiva College campus. Rabbi Tanza's love for Talmud Torah, his love for the state of Israel, his love for the Jewish people, is what ultimately laid the groundwork for the Yeshiva College campus to be built into the home of religious Zionism in South Africa. And I think together with Bnei Akiva and Mizrachi as his partners, Rabbi Tanza succeeded in building the Yeshiva College and the Yeshiva College campus into a true Makom Torah, a Makom Torah that's actually the envy of world Jewry as a whole. And this is his legacy. This is Rabbi Tanza's legacy. Growing up both with Yeshiva College and Bnei Akiva instilled in generations of kids incredible love for Torah and for the state of Israel. We've got hundreds of our alumni who went on to study in the top yeshivot there, who went on to serve with distinction in the IDF, and who built very successful lives for themselves and their families in Israel. But I think the most important thing, what we all got here at Yeshiva College, was incredible warmth and chavashaft, and the relationships and friendships we all developed at school are actually friendships for life. Our Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Tanza, will be sorely missed. But it's our responsibility, as generation being here after him, it's our responsibility to carry on his legacy. It's our responsibility to respect his legacy and to build on what he's built here so that generations after us can benefit and have the privilege and have the blessing that we had in enjoying everything him and Marsha built over all of the years in Johannesburg. Yehi Zichro Baruch.